iPhone 15 Plus unboxing and first impressions. Now, I know I'm a little bit late with this one that came out over a week ago, but I didn't want to rush this one out because I had to cover the 15 Pro Max, the regular 15. You could see I went with the black color, which means black Apple logos on the top and bottom. And the text is usually in the color of the phone that you do pick up. Now, the reason I went with the black model is because I actually went and looked at every iPhone 15 Plus before I decided on the black model. Reason why is because the regular 15s over here have this very light glass on the back, which I'm not a major fan of, although I do like the sides of this green iPhone 15. I seen the matte black looking version. I was like, man, this is beautiful. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. We're going to go ahead and open this peel tab at the top. Pull tab. I said peel tab. I don't even know if that's a thing, a peel tab. Let's go ahead and pull the bottom one. And we're going to find that super easy once you do that to get right into the phone. So here we are, and take a look at this. It's like a matte black iPhone right here. It's just absolutely beautiful. So that's what really drew me to this because, we usually have a glossy edge or we have a glossy back. It's pretty close to the space black of the iPhone 14 Pro Max, but still, this just is a really nice color option, I think. Even though it's more of a base color, it still just looks really good, especially the sides and the back. And I like that they just called it black this year. They didn't call it some random name like they didn't make up some name for it. You can see right there. USB-C to USB-C. Now remember, with the 15 and 15 Plus, these are the USB 2 ports, which means that they're slower than the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. So if you're into transferring stuff, you'll want the Pro and Pro Max. You'll see in here you do have a physical SIM, thing that tells you that there's no more physical SIM, and you have to do eSIM, which is a headache for certain people, but you'll get through it. And you'll see right there, Apple logo sticker. I wonder if they're ever going to stop giving you the Apple stickers. They're getting to the point where it's basically almost nothing in the box. I wonder if that'll happen. So let's go ahead and pull the plastic off the front or whatever. Wow. That was very, very entertaining for me. Very cathartic. Very relaxing to peel that one off. That one did pretty good on this iPhone 15 Plus. Now, while we're booting this up, let's talk about the price. iPhone 15 Plus is going to run you right around $899 with a carrier. $929 if you go unlocked. That's the base model, 128 gigs. So a pretty steep price for a 128 gig smartphone. But it is Apple, so you're going to pay the Apple tax. We do have 1029 for the 256 gig, and it just goes up from there. So this is not a cheap phone. This is still close to $1,000 phone with taxes. And if you go to carrier, of course, you'll get a cheaper monthly plan. But it's not a cheap phone. It's still an iPhone. But definitely a very light, big phone. And I like the improvements over last year's iPhone 14 Plus. We'll talk about that later. But I'm going to go ahead and skip this appearance section. There's not anything new in the setup process because there's still a silent switch here for the iPhone 15 Plus. So there's not going to be an action button software to show you. So I'll be back when I'm in. Okay, so we're now in the phone, and you can see, just like the other smartphones, this comes with the iOS 17 right out of the box, and it's going to give you the same wallpaper. So let's go to settings here, and we'll take a look at first the storage that comes. I didn't put any of my apps yet, so you can see how much iOS takes up here. 16.99 gigabytes on here right out of the gate. So you're technically getting around 239 gigabytes, even though they call it a 256 gig. So that's that. Let's go over here to wallpapers now, and we'll add a new wallpaper, and they're going to take a second to load because it's the first time. And we go down to collections, and you'll see that's the one that is on the box there. So you do have different colors. You have the blue, the green, the yellow, and the pink. Now, what I like about the black version is because it's black and it doesn't really, it's just a base color. It's not really a color, it's black, but you'll see we do have, you can put any wallpaper and it kind of goes well with the phone because it's a black phone. So, but I'll put the one that they call black, even though that's definitely not a black wallpaper, but I'll put the one that shows on the home screen. Now, let's take a quick look at this phone before we go ahead and showcase some other things. So you are going to have a dual camera here, dual camera setup, and one of those cameras is a 48 megapixel, which is very similar to the camera you'll find in the iPhone 14 Pros, which is pretty cool. I have pixel binning, which allows the Apple to crop in on the main sensor, which gives you a longer zoom than what you would have before. So you can go 2 times and 10x. Now this is great because finally we have, the base model phones giving you at least zoom that matches the older iPhone 10s and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. In addition, you'll see we do have very thin sides and very smooth to the touch. At the bottom, we do have the USB-C, very nice right there. And then on the edges, on this side, it's pretty much like the old iPhones, volume rockers, and then silence switch right there. Up at the top, you'll see pretty much nothing right there, but the dynamic island, which is new. And what I like about these is the cameras are not that thick on the main phones. This is just a clean matte black smartphone right here for sure. Okay, so I have the iPhone 15 Pro Max here. It's all about being lighter this year, it seems like, with the iPhones. So I have this little scale here. I don't know how accurate it is, but we're just going to see what it shows. 235 grams there on that measurement. I just want to show you that the iPhone 15 Plus is the lighter phone. It feels lighter. And while a lot of people are talking about how comfortable and light the Max is, well, if you really want a lighter phone, look at that. This phone is like 34 grams. It's several grams lighter than the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And if you really, really want a lightweight phone, you'll want the regular 15 right here. And stay tuned because I'll do comparisons with all of these phones, but take a look at that. 183 grams. This thing is super light. So if you want a light phone, this iPhone 15 Plus is going to be the move for you if you want a light, big phone. And somebody asked me the other day, well, I don't really like light phones. Is the Max super lightweight? No, it's not. It has some heft to it, but it's not like it's much more comfortable than last year's 14 Pro Max. All right, so let's talk about a couple other things. So you get a 6.7 inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. This is 60 hertz once again. So this might be the last time we see 60 hertz on the base models. I'm not sure about that, but the way Apple goes, they kind of do whatever they want, no matter what anybody says. But at the same time, if you guys want a 120 hertz, you have to go to like a smoother display. You have to go to the Pro or Pro Max phones from this year or last year, or even the 13 Pro Max. This phone also has a big battery, so 4383, and I'm going to bet that this one's going to be the best on battery life because it doesn't use, the 120 hertz, and it's using last year's A16 Bionic chipset, which is another thing I forgot to mention. A16 Bionic chipset from last year. Also, I wanted to mention something in the camera section here. If you go down to the camera section in settings, you'll see if you go to, I think it's formats, photo mode is now capturing photos at a 24 megapixel. This is kind of why you're able to also get the zoom a little bit further, but it's a little bit more space, but it's only a hair more and you get larger quality images. So it shoots at 24, versus the 24 megapixels versus the 12 megapixels. So just a really nice upgrade there if you're into photography and stuff like that with your iPhone. So yeah, we have pretty big battery, nice display, light design, pretty decent colors, dynamic island, which finally makes its way to the base models, and a much cheaper price than the Max. What more could you want? Well, for me, I want 120 hertz. And I think if they had 120 hertz, maybe a little more zoom. I think we should have more zoom actually on the Max, and we should have like a 5x on this phone, and we should have like a 10 times optical on the Max. That's my take. I think this is still behind when it comes to the zoom, so I like to see more zoom on these base models as well. We also get some other updates like Bluetooth 5.3 and stuff like that. So iOS 17 is base out of the box. That's pretty nice, and you get Wi-Fi 6 but not 6E. So that's about it. We can do some more close-ups, but I already showed you most of the phone, so you kind of got a good idea. It is basically a bigger version of the regular iPhone 15. So not much to speak of, but a clean, classy phone right here. All right, so I'm going to do a quick comparison, then we'll be out of here and we'll show you. I'm going to show you first, maybe its top competitor, Android competitor. This is going to be the Galaxy S23 Plus. So you'll see right here, this is the phone that I feel like feels most similar to this phone on the Android side. Very close, although Samsung went with the shinier edges, and the Samsung, because of those shinier edges, might look a little more premium than this iPhone, but you know, people are still going to pick Apple because some people just like Apple more, and some people are going to pick Samsung because they like Samsung more. But those are pretty close, I would say. The Samsung probably going to be far cheaper to purchase, though. Pixel 7 Pro, not really directly competitive here. Usually, you would compare this to the Max because it has the higher end stuff. But the 7 Pro's price point is actually less than the 15 Plus. So there might be some people looking at 7 Pro, 8 Pro coming up soon, you know, as it's going to slide in closer to the price of the 15 Plus. And it's a little bit bigger, but I think you're going to round the edges on the new one and give you a little bit more comfortable design. So that's a good alternative option if you want to try Android. Last year's iPhone 14 Plus. Now, this phone looks, you know, with the notch looking like that, they skipped the dynamic island. This actually looks like an upgraded phone. Also, the 14 Plus of last year just feels bulkier now, heavier, just like a bigger, like less comfortable phone to hold. So if you skip the 14 Plus and now you're getting a 15 Plus, I think you made a good decision, because the 14 Plus doesn't have, you know, as much zoom. It doesn't have USB-C. Kind of just feels like a really big iPhone 13 that had a really high price. So I found that the iPhone 14 Plus, while a lot of people liked it, it wasn't the most loved iPhone last year. Now, if you're coming from a much older iPhone, like the iPhone 11 Pro Max, this is going to be a pretty nice upgrade for you. And I think you could do this upgrade without feeling like you're losing too much, because while this does have a triple camera, the iPhone 15 Plus has most of the same, you know, zoom, 2x, stuff like that, while retaining a comfortable design that's actually lighter than the 11 Pro Max. So if you loved your 11 Pro Max because of its comfy design, and you don't like these bigger, bulkier, new Max phones, this is an excellent upgrade for you. I think you'll love going over to the iPhone 15 Plus. And you didn't have 120 hertz on your 11 Pro Max, so you won't even really notice anything different there as well. Now, I'll give you one more comparison. The really older Plus, the Plus that started it all. Well, it didn't start at all. We had the 6S Plus, but this is when they started getting really nice, was the 8 Plus. So if you've held on to the 8 Plus for this long, again, the 8 Plus was a super comfy design, beautiful product red colorway. And if you want to go to the 15 Plus, you're going to have a massive upgrade on your hand once again. And then we have the regular iPhone 15 here. You can see same phones, but keep in mind the regular iPhone 15 is definitely much more comfortable, much more compact than the iPhone 15 Plus. So that's it for me on my first impressions. I'll do some more comparisons, speed tests, and videos going forward. Let me know what you want to see on the 15 Plus specifically, and maybe we'll do some reviews as well. But this one's looking like a pretty good winner if you just want to save some money, but you still want a higher end, newer iPhone. You want something like the iPhone 14 Pro Max last year, but you don't want the weight. This is going to be a great option for you. And let me know what you think of the matte black color. Which color would you go with? Comment below. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.